Did you know that only 1% of what the ancient people wrote survived to modern times? Most of what we have are copies from the original texts, sometimes only reference to the original texts which don't exist anymore. Most of the ancient libraries which weren't destroyed were stripped of their collection ages ago. But what if you could enter in an ancient library, totally preserved? That is exactly what exists in the city of Herculaneum, an ancient Roman city preserved in time by the same volcanic ashes who destroyed and preserved Pompeii. There lies an ancient library full of antiquity classics that were thought to be lost to time. But unfortunately, nobody was able to read them since they were unearthed. Open these ancient scrolls would mean destroy them, as the volcano eruption burned them fast enough to keep the ink visible, but at the same time making the act of unwrapping the scrolls nearly impossible. But a recent discovery made it possible to read them, but now in the virtual world. Join us while we explore this amazing discovery and uncover stories of the ancient world never seen before. During the eruption of the Vesuvius in 79 AD, not only the city of Pompeii was covered by ashes of the volcano, but another city also disappeared that day. The explosion also covered in ashes the city of Herculaneum. The city is covered in marvelous archaeological treasures, just like Pompeii. And in the year 1750, during excavation there, a discovery called the attention of the scientific community. It was a unique villa. This villa was the most luxurious villa in the city. The archaeologists were able to discover who originally owned the villa in Roman times. And it was Julius Caesar's father-in-law, a man called Lucius Calpurnius Piso Caesoninus. And yes, he was the father-in-law of the famous Julius Caesar. The villa has an exquisite architecture and, on its contents, has many outstanding works of art, such as frescoes, bronze and marble sculptures. It includes the most extensive Greek and Roman sculptures ever discovered in a single context. But more important than these discoveries, inside of the villa it was found a unique, well-preserved ancient library. And it is the only library known from the Greco-Roman world whose the collection has survived to the present day. The archaeologists found in the library over 1,800 papyrus scrolls carbonized by the heat of the eruption. The villa gained its name, Villa of the Papyri, because of the library, and the scrolls are called Herculaneum Papyri. Since the scrolls were discovered a few years after the main villa, they have been kept in the National Library of Naples. The majority of the documents were found charred and rolled up like logs. Being in this state made it impossible to unravel and read the text. The writing is visible on the top of the scroll, but open it and read it is not possible without destroying the roll. A few attempts to unroll the scrolls resulted in the ink fading or the complete destruction of the roll. The archaeologists can only speculate about what the scrolls contain. In some of the scrolls, which are in a better condition, they managed to open it. They found, for instance, Greek philosophy based on the teachings of the philosopher Epicurus. Most of what was found was in Greek, but the majority of the classical libraries usually have a Greek and a Latin sections, and very few Latin texts were found. But they are still working on it, and for instance, they discovered in 2018 the historical work of Seneca the Elder. This showed to us that literary gems from the ancient world are still to be found among these scrolls. But still, reading some of these scrolls cannot be done without destroying them. So, the specialists had to find another way to get inside of the ancient manuscripts without damaging them. After years of research without making any progress, the researchers at the University of Kentucky made a breakthrough discovery. Using a synchrotron, a type of particle accelerator that can produce a beam of light 1,000,000,000 times brighter than the sun. Their experiment with the new technique used the particle accelerator Diamond Light Source located in UK in Oxfordshire, and the experiment was done in cooperation with Oxford University. The team led by Professor Bent Seals from the University of Kentucky used their new technique. The idea was to use a high-energy X-ray on the scrolls and analyze the computer's generated data. Then, the image scanned with this technique are fed to a database where machine learning is applied to separate the ink from the papyrus, and then utilizing AI models in order for the computer to try to reconstruct the original text. The AI models are mainly composed of images from opened intact fragments of the scrolls that show precisely where the ink is. And basically, the computer uses it to compare with newly scanned ones with this technique. The technique also makes use of a method called voxel by voxel, which maps where the ink is point to point in a 3D space. Then, the machine learning tool will amplify the ink signal by training the computer algorithm to recognize it pixel by pixel. According to the doctor, by using this method, they will first see the internal structure of the scrolls, and from there try to increase the level of detail on the images. And with this, they will be able to see into the highly compressed layers on which the text sits. And then finally, they will virtually unwrap the scrolls and bring to light once again texts of 2000 years ago. However, Dr. Seuss tried to have access to the ancient scrolls for nearly 13 years without success, as many of the libraries which have a scroll in their possession refuse him access, including the National Library of Naples in Italy. The scrolls needed to be transported to England and to be put in the particle accelerator, and this poses a very high risk to the extremely fragile scrolls. But finally, the Institut de France, which owned 6 scrolls, allowed the team to study 3 small fragments of the scrolls damaged during a failed past attempt to unravel them. Dr. Seuss spent 2 years with the fragments data at the Google Cultural Institute in Paris to interpret the data generated by the technique. And after the research, he finally could present a 3D image that revealed the separate pages, which was previously considered impossible to separate. Many researchers of ancient texts accepted this method, but unfortunately, thousands of manuscripts still cannot be examined by this technique at the current stage. Also, some researchers do not favor the method, fearing that the fragile scrolls can be damaged, as happened to the scrolls several times in the past. It is undeniable that the scrolls have an immense value, and the risk of damage if we use this technique is very real. But the knowledge we could gain from them is arguably even more precious. They could be the key for understanding the past. Do you think this technique should be used on the scrolls when possible, or any risk with something so valuable is too much risk? We would like to hear your opinion. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. If you would like to know more about the Roman world, ancient history and discoveries, subscribe to our channel. And do like the Romans do and give us a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon to stay updated in our future videos. If you want to help the channel, feel free to share this video on Facebook, Reddit and other social media. We thank you. Tibi gratias ago, pro Vigilabo. Thanks for watching.